API, an application program interface to allow YouTube to stream live from Zoom, so I don't have to leave Zoom, but I can have it directly to my YouTube account. Okay, so that's number one. So what are my goals for today? My goal for today is number one is to go over a study guide with you for our next test. And my other goal is to work with you on your project. And we'll go through the what's due. In order to work with the what's due on the project, once we go through the exam review study guide, I want to go to breakout rooms today and have groups make sure that they've gotten all your assignments done. And Daniel and I will go through the groups, make sure that you're on track so you can show me your work for Monday. How does that sound? So how does that sound, Graham? We're ready to go? Okay, so let me share my screen. I share my screen. I see my screen. I am going to my content and I will go to what's due. I will turn off my edit mode so I see exactly what you see. And in this case, on Monday, the 14th, you see you have the final project, readings of business analytics. Next week, I'll go over business analytics with you on descriptive statistics and predictive statistics. You have the assignment, and then you have some readings. You have one reading on language models and the other one, which we spoke about last week, on ERPs, enterprise resource planning, and what it is. So you have these two readings here. By the way, all these readings are possibilities for the exam. So you have here in-person exam. The review exam is under PowerPoints and documents under exam 2 review guide. So if I look at PowerPoints and documents, here is the exam review guide. Note the exam 2 will be on Monday, April 21st, which is not next week, but the following Monday. It will be again in the School of Business 204. The exam is closed note, just the same way as the last exam. There's going to be 2 parts. If you finish early, you need to check out with your pictured ID. And of course, you need to bring in your backup of your laptop. Make sure your laptop also has responders in case we need that for backup. Here on the exam review guide, you can see here, basically, if we look at it, the review guide is, I am still going to go over the 2 most important chapters from last time, which is database management and security. It will also cover cloud computing, artificial intelligence, enterprise resource planning, and business analytics. It will cover all your audit assignments, your lectures, and your additional readings, even though this doesn't sound additional readings, but Daniel has so graciously even put in all the articles here. It'll be similar to the last part. It'll be multiple choice true false questions, open-ended up to 3 questions. And you'll see here all the terms. Many of the terms are similar to the terms that we used last time, since it is from database and security. You'll see here it talks about cloud computing, some of the vendors, what is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, the different clouds. And you can see here, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, the Turing test. So you can go through all of these. These are sample open-ended questions. I may combine a couple of questions together, but in general, these are the topic areas. For instance, how does generative AI think? Does it think in English? And it may be combined with, for instance, what is generative AI and how does it differ from machine learning? Make sure you give examples. For instance, what is the cloud computing? Explain 4 benefits. It's not just listing the 4 benefits, but explaining. So the idea is giving examples we used in our assignment and projects. And these are the ones you have. You can study any way you want. You can study together as a group. You can use any software you want. You can use the Notebook LM. It's up to you on how you study. Some people, shared with us how they did so well on the exam on what they did. Okay, but it is straightforward, I think. The other part that you have is in the audit assignment. What I want to make sure you see here is on the audit assignment, which is due on Monday, make sure are the goals of progressing the website, service, domain names, integrating fastbots, implementing Notebook, adding a VAPI number.
I have to add social media.
That's exactly. How did you know? I was before I said it. You're my AI. That's a compliment, Daniel. You're my agentic agent. We got to do that, right? We'll create it and we'll call it Daniel. That'll be next semester. We'll create agentic agents for tasks to be done. And then the agentic agent can do it for you, Daniel, right? That's the whole idea. So we want to add that social media here too for our goals. But basically, here is what my goal here of what you should be adding is a how-to tutorial. People were asking me what should be in the tutorial. You should create for each person, show an application that makes sense for your project, an application that you can show how to do. For instance, you could show them, hey, we've made a podcast for ourselves. We can make podcasts for you. So you could show them how to do a podcast. You could show them different applications. Each person in your group is required to at least show 1 application. If you have extra time, you can show more, but at least 1. It should be less than 5 minutes. It should be descriptive, and it should show your face to give credibility. And it should also go step by step of you sharing your screen, sharing your voice. Everybody should have upgraded already with a domain name. You should have already posted that. If you haven't posted it yet, you should be posting it on the audit area, on your domain name. Social media accounts. You can decide how you want to divvy up your social media accounts, but let me stress here, and I think we've done it, is use AI for your social media accounts in your postings and give credit to the social media that you use. So if you use Canva, you use you use Dolly for images, whatever you do for your social media that you're posting to, for your Instagram or your TikTok or others, is that you cite that and you basically show that we can do that for you as well. In the SEO, in the back end of Wix, under site and mobile apps or under marketing, you have website and SEO, and then here you follow the wizard. In order to follow the wizard, Google will take your domain name and crawl your domain name and be able to see if it can add it to their databases. This takes at least 24 hours. You cannot do this part adequately, the SEO, until you have a domain name, a full domain name. So this you can divvy up to someone. You create then your service offerings. You remember we had fastbot.ai come give us basically an opportunity to use Fastbot AI, which is a chatbot. Here is instructions to use the chatbot. When you go to fastbots.ai, you can also search and support of how to put a Fastbot chatbot onto your Wix site, and then Fastbot then will answer questions for you based on your URL. And here it is instructions to do that. I want also everybody to do a podcast and use your site as the sources for your podcast. Make sure that you listen to it and convert it. You can take several tries. You can even tell it maybe to make it longer, shorter on that. Sometimes you may even want to, when you're creating, those of you that want to create a podcast for your demo, you may be able, once that demo is created, you may want to even record how you join into your podcast. You may also want to show how to use mind map that we hadn't used before. The VAPI phone number. You want one person that has, you pick to do the VAPI AI using their phone number, and then you want to be able to post that VAPI AI phone number onto your website. So when you're going to be posting it, I don't know if did you tell it here? I think you do, right? Perfect. You want to edit. Excellent, Daniel. You want to edit the system prompt, so you'll have one person take it where you had the prompts rather than just saying, hi, this is Morgan. You want to basically have those paragraphs of stating what you guys do for your company. And that's it. So for one person, it's a lot, but if you divvy it up and share it, then it should be fine. Any questions about that? So how many groups do I have? Daniel? For this audit area.
Check.
Okay.
I believe
So
it's
Morgan, are there any questions that you have or anyone else about this project?
Not as of right now.
Okay. I think once you get it done. So my goal for tonight with Daniel is to meet with each of the groups, see how I can help you. Also, you have time as the groups is to make sure you divvy up all your work. So that's why I'm using breakout rooms. A number of you were asking me that you'd like to take this opportunity. So it's a way at least we can proceed. And I'll give you feedback, and also Daniel will as well. So how many groups do I have, Daniel?
9.
9? Okay. So I have 9. I'm going to let the participants choose. Anything else I need to know about, they need to know about, Daniel?
No.
So you have your groups here. I'm going to open up the rooms and choose your group based on your number. Choose your group, go into your group, assign all your work for your group, start working on it. I and Daniel will start with
Oh,
group
could you make me
1.
co-host, Professor?
Oh, thank you. Remind me next time we should put you in right in the beginning there. Make co-host. Did I make it? Hold on. Okay,
Thank you.
so everybody join a group, your group, not a group, but the group number. It's 1 through 9, and I'll help everyone. And Daniel and I will stay here till everybody gets assigned.
Yep.
But Daniel, you start with 1, I'll start with 9. And then hopefully you know what to do.
Yeah.
And then you can figure out afterwards how you want to, before Monday, how you want to help them or what they need. And based on their question, you can see what are the issues. Okay. So what you're not, what group are you?
Oh, I'm group number 2.
So why don't you go in there?
Oh, there we go. I just got the notification for it.
Okay. Did you get it? Okay. And Morgan, do you need help to get in a group?
No, I just figured out how to do it.
Okay. And Caitlin?
This Group 4. Oh, there we go.
And Sophia is in a group? What is Sophia in?
Let's see.
Why is she here or not?
I don't know. It doesn't let me move her.
I don't see her in the, yeah.
I'll put her in the
Sophia,
breakout.
what?
Yeah, if
Okay,
she's here, she can join back.
Oh, no. We'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 9, you start for 1. We'll go,
Okay.
we'll meet in the middle or it's good even if we have time that we both give different perspectives on it.
Okay.
Okay, great. See you later, alligator. George, what's up?
There just wasn't anyone in my group. I was wondering if there's
Okay, so stay, George, and work it out, and then I'll help you.
All right.
Are you in
Thank-
group 7, George?
That is correct. Yep.
I see Blake and Nathaniel there.
Oh, they must have just joined.
Yeah, they
Um,
must have
join
just
back.
joined. Okay, try to get back.
Okay.
Okay. Sabrina, are you here? Sabrina, do you hear me? Anna, what's up? Anna, do you hear me?
Hello, I didn't realize, I thought I was in the meeting already. Can you hear me? Why can't I hear you? You're, Dr. Rush, you're muted.
Professor, you're muted.
Oh, you're still muted.
I'll have you introduced to my glorious class. They'll turn on their cameras. I apologize. We were in breakout rooms. We're having a project
Ah,
and we just needed a feedback on it. So I just wanted to do that. So I'll have everybody turn on their cameras and we'll start this. And do you want to introduce yourself?
I would love to. My name is Jeff Angle. I head up our emerging markets and products, as well as our academic partnerships for ISACA. And
Great.
like you
Great.
guys, I'm also come out of higher education.
Well, oh, you did. Okay. And what is it about you? Tell me a little bit about your company.
If I
What you do.
can share a slide with you guys, if I
Yeah,
may.
sure.
So this is what ISACA is known for. Just let me see. Tell me when you guys can see that.
Yes, we got it.
All right, perfect. So we're at our core, we're a credentialing company. We do some of the higher level credentials that you'll see probably in your work experience around governance, risk, compliance, audit, cybersecurity. So there'll be acronyms that you hear that are around CISA or CISM or C-risk, which is really one of our most popular ones. And what allows us to operate in these different domains really comes through the fact that we're also an association. So we have about 100, well, as of now, this is a little old, we have about 195,000 members around the globe. And they're organized into chapters, of which we have about 230. We just had a new one, and believe it or not, Ulaanbaatar, of all places. But the main thing I want to call about that is that those are the people we go to help us kind of look over the horizon around knowledge, skills, and abilities that are changing or that they need to be able to do those GRC audit cybersecurity tasks. So they then come back to us and say, okay, here's the domain area, this is the content that needs to be updated to make sure that, and this is really the punchline that I want to bury, that when we're bringing people into the organization and they have, our credentials, or they have, if they're looking at CISSP, that they know that those people they're bringing in have those, what we call knowledge, skills, and abilities, or KSAs, to be able to do that specific job task. And that's a little bit about us.
Okay. And so I guess we've covered a lot of security and
Okay.
basically controls and security in the area. We have our chief security officer came into class and basically talked about security, and especially security at the university and how we're so vulnerable. Our students were complaining about, Duo,
Yeah.
basically, and now we've moved to authenticator, and why do we need to do this, and this thing. So basically, your organization basically is information auditing. I basically can looking at it, coming into companies and seeing if they have the proper controls. And in your own work, Jeff, are you also doing that as your own work?
Yeah, we do that in our own work as well. I also teach at Arizona State University. So one of the things I teach is data analytics, and part of that whole data analytics course is, okay, how do you make sure the data that you're pulling in is secure, that it's accurate, that it's not corrupted by anything. So yeah, we look at that too, and at ASU we have the same things. We have two-factor authentication. We have
Right.
all those
Right,
functions.
and the data that is secure. And are you, what kind of credentials do you have?
I have our cybersecurity fundamentals, I have our IT audit and IT risk.
And is that part of it? And now the students, do you have a slide of what the students, what the students can, what is the test they can get and how do they need to study for that, or how do they qualify? Do you have something about that?
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. So we have advanced level credentials that I was talking about before, and then we have kind of what we call the entryway credentials as well. So those are the ones that I have because I do, I do not come out of the formal, IT side of the shop. I
Mm-hmm.
come more out of the data side of it.
Okay,
So we do have a couple of credentials that you guys might be interested in. One is obviously we have cybersecurity fundamentals, which is, I'd say it's an analog to Security Plus. You guys have heard of that one from CompTIA?
they probably haven't. Most of our students have not.
So, I mean, I say it's an analog. The difference really is that it's hands-on. So as you go through the different domain areas, you get the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and you have to actually apply them into a virtual machine setting. So the nice thing about that, at least, I'll admit it, I'm biased on this one, is
Yeah.
you get a work product. So if it's threat detection, incident response, whatever it may be, you can actually show that I've gone through it, I've done it. Here's how I successfully completed that task.
Okay. And what are they offering now for students? So my students, if they wanted to get a certification, what would you number one, would you recommend they get? The CISA certification, the Certified Information Systems Auditor one?
I would actually start at just a level down from that. So we have IT risk fundamentals and IT audit fundamentals, the ones I've
Okay,
gone
IT
through.
risk and IT fundamentals. And
Yeah,
students can take that without any work experience?
They can. They can. In fact,
Okay.
we have a new program that we're launching into the academic space, which is our full-blown CISA, Information Systems Audit,
Uh-huh.
that will be an associate credential. So you still have to get the work experience. That's the difference between our certifications and credentials. Credentials typically require 5 years of work experience, of which your bachelor's degree will satisfy one of those years.
Okay, but this, so if the students have no work experience, they can take, you think they should start with the fundamentals?
I would. I mean, so you guys are still, what do you guys, this is a 200 level?
Yeah, this is a
We have-
200 level, and some of our students are higher up. They're juniors and seniors.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they're all in the business school, and they all, they have our business technology majors, our finance, a lot of them are combined majors, entrepreneurs, data analytics.
Yep. So I definitely, IT audit and IT risk, I definitely, recommend those. The audit's kind of fascinating from the standpoint of, I just got back from speaking at Purdue University on this topic too, with another colleague of mine that's over there. But I think he had explained it great from the standpoint of, you think of an internal auditor and it's like, that doesn't sound so sexy. It doesn't sound so.
No, it sounds very boring for our
It sounds
students,
very
right?
boring.
It's like
And
they fall asleep anyways in my class. So when they bring that up, it sounds even more snoozeability.
then you think about the importance of it, and this is the gentleman who leads their cybersecurity institute. But he's like, he kind of put it in the terms of, he's like, when you go to the doctor and get your physical, what are you doing? You're auditing your health. When you balance your checkbook, what are you doing? You're auditing your financials. If you're taking your car in to get a checkup, what are you doing? You're auditing the health of your car. And I bring that up because it's like, we kind of look at it and say, is this really important? And it's like, yeah, it's actually extremely critical to the organization. Because if you don't have an understanding of your architecture, the touch points that it has in your supply chain is a great example, then you expose yourself to risk. And one of the things that we found, be it IT risk or IT audit or pure cybersecurity, pen testing, whatever it may be, is if you don't understand how that works, your posture or how hardened your system is, you open up risks not only within the organization itself, but also to, as we've seen with CrowdStrike, right? What happens
Right,
to all their
CrowdStrike,
customers?
the the whole world went down and you
The
couldn't
whole-
take a flight.
You couldn't do anything. But then you think about upstream, and one of the things we're finding, especially in the world you guys are going into, is that like, cybersecurity, information security is it runs throughout the entire value chain of a company. So we do these programs like our SISM, for example, which is all about governance. We run that in supply chain programs. We run SISM in law degree programs like at Drexel. I mean, it's really transdisciplinary in nature. So regardless of where you're going to be, MBA programs at Aston University in the UK, we've got them all over the place. But it's like, it's extremely, extremely.
Yeah, because, and also now so how do you see it with the advent of AI changing what you guys are doing, or what
No,
effect will it have?
Yeah, it's having quite an effect. I mean, with AI, we're pivoting to, and because it's part of our, DNA is around the governance, the risk, the compliance,
Right.
the audit, is exactly that for AI. So we're first one out of the gate here is going to be our CISA, with an AI addition to it. So in that new world, we'll focus on like 3 domain areas within AI. One will be the AI governance and risks, AI operations, and the third will be AI auditing tools.
Which
And
is so important because the AI is like in a black box.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about the guardrails of AI. What could AI possibly be for disadvantages? What is behind it? Who is programming it?
yeah, well, and you
That,
still have to really go down the same path as you would with, if you're an enterprise architect, whatever your function is within your information systems, your information technology, I mean, you still have to go through the process of looking at what's the governance structure to use AI, what's the risk to the organization to use AI.
Yes.
So you have to evaluate, the impacts it can have on all facets of the business, as I said
Right.
before, like way upstream in your supply chain and way downstream to your customer itself.
Yeah.
And it's it's monitoring, it's reporting, it's about quality control.
And the people are not as educated on what's to come, and it's changing so quickly too.
It
And
is.
what all these bots that people are downloading, what's in those bots that people are downloading? I know for our university, they were almost like at a standstill where a number of the faculty and students were begging for more AI, and people in the audit area say, wait a minute, hold on, we don't even know what's going to be put into our systems, where
Yeah, it's an
so that,
interesting world because it's changing the way, in some certain areas of the country, the like your leadership team, your C-suite team are
right.
being brought closer in. So, for example, in the EU, they just passed a regulatory requirement called DORA, which requires everybody at the C-suite to understand the risks to their systems.
Yes.
So,
Everybody needs to understand it's just not that used to be just passed on to my IT group.
Yeah.
But it's everybody in the organization has to figure it out, everybody in the finance, because a lot of our students even aren't going to be going into IT, but rather into other areas, but they need to know about their data, about the governance and the governance of AI.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
thank you for, we're kind of, I'll let any of our students, answer. I have Daniel here, who I think he corresponded with you. If you have any question, Daniel, that,
Yeah, I do have one. So I was looking at the different credentials and I saw one on AI, the Beta AI audit certification.
Mhm.
Do you think you could talk a little bit about that? Are there prereqs as far as work goes, or?
For the AI audit, it's still a work in progress. So I do not have what the prereqs are. I do know that that's an add-on right now for the CISA credential. And I can follow up with you guys too around, the different credentials and what
yeah, if you
might
could, you
work
can
best for
follow
you.
up, and I'll have you, maybe Daniel can follow up with you,
Yeah,
Jeff, on
definitely.
giving us some of those areas, because we also have a minor now in AI at the
Yeah.
school, in this business school, and we're considering now even an AI major. you
Interesting. Yeah,
know,
that's a-
so it's the whole area. And now our dean wants to really just infiltrate AI throughout, AI everywhere, into all the classes. So it's just that idea of, is this a trend, and how do you basically get those guardrails put up?
Yeah, it's been I mean, I know at, at ASU, we have our own version of ChatGPT 4 that we put into the university.
Uh-huh,
Its main purpose, or at least the hypothesis is, if we
Yeah.
can, the more research that we load up securely, we can cross-reference it with other research to see how it can impact, hopefully positively,
Yeah.
to accelerate research, to broaden
Yeah.
its impact of research. So, a lot of stuff's being done with it. And I know in my class, I let my students use it, but the challenge with them, because obviously we have a rubric that we have to use to grade you guys. They have to, when they use it, they have to really explain the logic behind the outcomes that they've generated and how they think those outcomes
We're
are generated.
trying that too. Well, our students are doing their project as AI, consultants for businesses, and basically the ins and the outs of it. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And then also I hear that you have a scholarship available.
We do. Through our ISACA Foundation, we do have scholarships available. If you go to isaka.org and look for the foundation, it'll give you the information on how to apply for those.
Yeah.
We do try to take care of the students in a different fashion. So for you guys specifically, like the credentials that I had mentioned, the IT audit fundamentals, the IT risk fundamentals, we provide those to you, I think, at a 50% discount
Oh,
if you
good.
have any interest. And we also have a new updated AI certification. We launched a couple of years ago. We just updated about probably
If you
4 or
could
5
send
months.
us more information on that, we really
Yeah.
would be. And then I'll send you out also. I've done it in the past, Jeff, is some of my students in the past have received your scholarship,
Oh, really?
so
Well,
I'll recommend this year as well. So watch out for that. I don't know if you're in that group to select them, but I'll be sending that out, my
and
recommendation.
not in that one. But yeah, we do the scholarships are another part of that as well. Another resource if you're looking for it is one of the chapters that we do have for ISACA is in Miami. We do a lot of work with the various and help set up the student groups for the universities around ISACA.
Uh-huh.
And what's nice about it, because we have one at ASU that I helped start up, is you've got all these professionals with a ton of experience that we bring
Yeah.
in to the class to
I
talk
know a
about.
number of you, I
Yeah.
know a number of your folks. They're very, a number of your folks that have businesses even in that, and it's really
Yeah.
great. They're very impressive. Okay, I'm just gonna have to stop the class
All right.
formally, and then Daniel will just give our students the attendance code in the chat, if you can be so kind, Daniel. And then if you can stay a minute, Jeff, and we can kind of discuss it and for that part. And then you
Yeah.
can stop, I guess you can stop sharing.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, but it's interesting, in the ideas of thinking about data and how do you basically govern that data, and think about the controls, and AI is just so important. I know our university, as an example, are so basically have been reluctant to basically do a deep dive. They've got
Yeah.
now a new position of a AI coordinator,
Yep.
and
But
they're starting even in the medical school. They won't even, there's so much there that they can work on, even administratively. How can they use AI to be
yeah. So
more
one of the things
efficient?
we're doing is, like, we've got the AI certificate, but we're also doing, the AI audit. The
Mhm.
next really step for us is to formalize. And are you guys familiar with the COVID framework?
My students are not, no.
Okay. So it was one of the original frameworks that we did a long time ago, but it stands for the control objectives for IT. And it's
Yeah,
really your
that of course, yeah, I know it, but we didn't cover it in class, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. We're working on that for AI right now with the number
Yeah,
of,
no, that's a big business, really, of
Yeah.
just
And just to
working.
give you guys context with COVID, I mean, it's something that like countries have adopted, like Egypt, UAE, Jordan, a number of the EU member states have put into place as their governance framework for finance, banking, and insurance.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting to
Yeah,
see. I
so-
appreciate you, and we'll try to work more together. I was quite active before in Osaka, and then when I saw that come around, I was happy to see that our they could get certificates without getting
Okay.
the work experience.
Yeah, and I'll follow up and I'll send you all that information out.
Yeah, now that and you're the academic liaison, Jeff.
I'm the guy. Yep.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live in Phoenix.
Oh, you live in Phoenix.
I
Oh,
do.
but
Well,
and how are you related to the Miami chapter then?
we work with all those different chapters. You know, they have an academic relations person typically, and then they'll work with universities, and the universities will do this for them. We'll do the student group. Sometimes we have
Oh.
schools that want to. Well, we actually bring in like the CISM, the CISM.
Oh,
We've actually
okay. Oh, I didn't even realize that. I thought you were in the Miami. That's why I was wondering why I thought you were working remote at ASU. Yeah, I had one of my former students. He was my teaching assistant, similar to Daniel, and he it's interesting. He received your scholarship, and then after receiving your scholarship, he went to work in here locally, and then went to work. He's now in Phoenix.
Oh, he is. He's enjoying like the nice 101-degree day we're having here in
Yeah,
April.
I don't know. Okay, but thank you so much for coming by.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Jeff, and then we'll have Daniel, keep in touch with you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening your time now. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let me stop recording. I didn't realize